Close your eyes and imagine this. Your team is on the bubble. You have a solid core who might just have what it takes to go all the way, but there is also some loose ends on the team. Now, open your eyes. You are a primed Edmonton Oilers Peter Chiarelli, and you have 30 seconds to answer, or Connor McDavid demands a trade. Do you A, trade away draft picks in your future to trade for that final piece for a playoff run, but that player also most likely leaves as a free agent? Or do you chance it, go with the core you assembled, and pray that it is enough to get over that hump? This is an extremely common dilemma that basically every team in NHL history has gone through. And as a result, we have seen teams not even make the playoffs even though they leveraged their entire future for that one missing piece. Because sometimes those traded draft picks develop into superstars, while the teams that traded them away have absolutely no future. And we've also seen a cool guy or girl like you press that subscribe button for some more awesome hockey content. The Pittsburgh Penguins. When it comes to tossing out draft picks, just like Phil the Thrill tosses hot dogs down his gullet, look no farther than the Penguins. Now, don't get me wrong, the Penguins have had some great success, but there has also been several massive blunders from a team desperately trying to keep the dream alive. Back in 2016, we would see a very confusing trade, as the Ottawa Senators would ship off their younger and more exciting Mika Zibanejad in a second for Derek Brassard. And of course, Mika would develop into that all-star with the Rangers, and as for Brassard, mediocrity. No, but seriously, jokes aside, instead of that missing piece, the Sens would basically downgrade their top 6 while making it older, and they had to add in that second round draft pick, which is just so confusing. Wait, what? Who's that? Jim? Jim, is that you? Jim Rutherford? 2018, 2 years after Brassard was showing regression in his game, Rutherford would come from the top ropes and attempt to slam dunk on the entire NHL by acquiring that final missing piece for a playoff run. Giving up a great goalie prospect in Philip Gustafsson, a first round pick that turned into Jacob Bernard Docker, who looks like a potential top pairing defenseman, and Johnny, not even gonna pronounce the last name, who is another solid defensive prospect. But to put this into perspective, and this is a very common sight, the Penguins had to give up on 3 great prospects, one of them looking like a future superstar, and a solid roster player, just to get Derek Brassard for 14 regular season games and 12 playoff games. An insane price to pay. But it doesn't stop there. The Penguins would also give up a first round pick for Ryan Reeves. Barely, as he would only end up playing 58 games as a Pen and costed them a first round pick. They would trade a first round pick for Jason Zucker, which I'm not going to critique too hard, because besides getting injured, there is no indications showing that Zucker won't be a solid additional player. But that is 3 first round picks and not even a 2-year span. Crazy. And it doesn't just stop there. The Penguins would trade away another first round pick, which turned into Rodion Amirov, who looks like a potential phenom, for Kasperi Kapanen. Now again, Kapanen has been a stud this season, but to put it into perspective, the Pittsburgh Penguins had to basically sell their souls, giving up 4 first round picks, countless prospects, basically their entire future, just to give Sid and Malkin a few more runs. But I will let you guys decide. Was giving away all these potential stars, prospects, first round draft picks worth the ability to keep a semi-functional core together in hopes of another cup run? I don't know, because in a couple years I feel like we are going to see the absolute implosion of the Pens, as their prospect pool is completely depleted. Travis Samenik. Back in 2017, Samenik had to be one of the most overrated defensemen in the entire league. Well, at least the Calgary Flames valued him, because after posting 14 points in 49 games, along with some pretty horrendous analytics, Travis Samenik would be acquired by the Flames for a first round pick and 2 second round picks. Excuse me? That was a massive price to pay for a fringe top 4 defenseman, especially when you consider that that first round pick was almost a top 10 pick, as the Islanders would snag Noah Dobson, a potential top pairing defenseman, and add 2 other solid prospects for Travis Samenik. And that is because the Flames were desperately looking for that top 5 right-handed defenseman, and were willing to give up an arm and a leg to get one. And Samenik would stay 3 seasons in Calgary, was fantastic in 2019, but was at best an average top 6 defenseman in the other 2 years. Which really begs the question, are these rental players worth it? Is it worth leveraging your future for one good season? I don't know. Hard to say. And what is probably the best recent example of a team being very reckless with their draft picks has got to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. And to all my GM mode fans out there, or I guess now franchise mode, you know those times when you feel like you're missing a certain type of player, so you bundle a bunch of future first round picks, basically like, it's in the future, so it's all good, but you end up being terrible, so you just traded away a first overall pick for like Sam Bennett or something. Well, this is exactly what happened to Brian Burke. Because after taking over as GM in 2009, Berkey would get a little impatient with the process, as he would trade 2 future first round picks for Phil the Thrill Kessel. But hey, they're in the future, so who cares? Future Brian Burke can deal with this. Tyler Seguin. The first of the 2 first round picks turned out to be Tyler Seguin, who's developed into a 6-time All-Star and a premier scorer in the NHL. I mean, but okay, not bad. Seguin for Phil. I mean, I guess that's kind of understandable. Dougie Hamilton. Brian Burke took a huge risk, basically assuming they would be in playoff contention just for the Leafs to be at the bottom of the league without their 2 first-round picks 2 years in a row. Oof. But to basically sum up the Kessel situation, the Leafs acquired a superstar, but it was on a team that wasn't ready for a star or the playoffs. And because they traded away 2 future picks, they ended up trading away 2 superstar caliber players that would have been the perfect rebuilding blocks for Toronto. But I will say it definitely has ended up working out for the Leafs, as they are a wagon this year. But what is absolutely crazy, Toronto has done this several times. And what has got to be the worst example was back in the late 80s. The Leafs were legit. I mean, nearly 6 players with 70 points, including a 50 goal scorer in Gary Leeman, and 10 players on pace or above 20 goals. Crazy. And with all this talent, they wanted to add another stud on the blue line. So they would trade away a 1991 first round pick, which keep in mind was over 2 years away from the time of this trade, for Tom Kurvers. Now, Tom would be solid, 52 points in his first season on the blue line, but after 89 games, Kurvers would be gone. And you recall that future draft pick that they kind of went, future us will deal with it. Well, it ended up being the 3rd overall pick that just so happened to be Scott Niedermayer. Just one of the greatest defensemen in NHL history, given away for a rental player. Like, man, I honestly feel bad for those lifelong Leafs fans. Imagine at any moment thinking to yourself, yeah, you know that Hall of Famer, that guy playing really well? Well, he was supposed to be on our team. This is the life some people have to live. Leafs fans have had to endure this feeling for decades. In fact, next time you see your Leafs fan friend, give him a hug, cause that guy's been through something.